Texans' new head coach, David Culley, is confident Deshaun Watson will be his quarterback next season. Culley told reporters Deshaun is, quote, a Houston Texan, and I want him to be a Houston Texan. And the reason I'm in this position today is because I knew he was going to be a Houston Texan. So, Shannon, from what you're hearing, will Deshaun have any second thoughts because of David Culley?
No. And David Culley is saying all the right things. I took this job. It didn't matter who the quarterback was. It was an opportunity to be a head coach, Skip. He was taking the job regardless. From what my sources have relayed to me is that Deshaun is steadfast in what he wants. He believes the only reason they circled back and started interviewing minorities was because he had gotten upset, and so he doesn't trust them. And so with that being said, I still believe Deshaun Watson will be traded. Deshaun Watson no longer wants to be there. He doesn't trust the people above the head coach. And so for me, nothing changes. I understand they hired an African American. I understand he's very highly thought of. But in my mind, this changes nothing.
So I'm interpreting David Culley's opening statement differently than you are. And yet, I defer to you on all things, Deshaun, because you've been way ahead of the curve in reporting his feelings. And his bridge, you report, is burned to the ground. So why would David Culley say, the reason I'm in this position today is because I knew he's going to be a Houston Texan? I translate that to say, I'm counting on it. That's why I came here, is because they guaranteed me he's going to be a Houston Texan.
If David Culley was a gambling man, I'd be willing to bet him a couple of $100,000.
Okay. Well, think about his plight right now. He's 65 years of age. He has paid dues like few have ever paid dues in this league or college football, because he's been, I think I counted the other day, 14 stops in college and pro football. And
the military don't even move you that much, Skip.
And he finally got his dream job at age 65 to go to the Houston Texans. And I'm sure his first thought was, Deshaun, I got a shot.
Right.
No, Deshaun, I got no shot. Because he was obviously the only African-American coach hired in this cycle of the 7 open jobs.
Right.
To bring the grand total of African-American coaches, black head coaches in this league, to Mike Tomlin, Brian Flores, and David Culley. Period. End of story.
Right.
And if Deshaun is truly out, then this African-American coach is not going to last that long in Houston, right?
It's just like Steve Wilkes. Steve Wilkes didn't have he got Josh Rosen, he got 1 year. And that's normally what happens, Skip. You see what he did with his page? He took down all things Houston Texans, referred all inquiries to his agent.
And he called himself the athlete because the new GM, Caserio from New England, obviously had called him the player.
Yes.
Isn't that like a Parcells-like reference to Terrell Owens? Yep.
Now, John McClain, Skip, reported for the Houston. He's been writing for the Houston Chronicle for 35 years. He says it's going to take 2 firsts, 2 seconds, and 2 starters, young players.
Okay.
So
good luck. And yet, it's possible Houston would sit back and say, we just gave you the sun and the moon, because it's 4 years, $156 million extension.
Right.
So he's under contract through 2025.
Yeah, 5 years.
Yep. And it's possible they would play hardball, just as you told me that Deshaun is going to play hardball. Well, if he starts missing camp, that meter's going to start running on the fine.
Remember, Skip, James Harden. They're like, oh, we're going to say until we get what he wants.
I got you.
And then at some point in time.
Don't think Deshaun didn't watch that unfold.
At some point in time, it becomes better for you to just move on. You're hearing reports that J.J. Watt might want out.
I wouldn't be surprised at all.
So for me, Skip, look, I don't know what was promised to him in actuality. You know, you hear this was promised, but for whatever reason.
To Culley, you mean?
No, to Deshaun.
To Deshaun. Okay, I thought you meant to David Culley.
But for whatever reason, for him to take the steps that he's taking, not returning their calls, have no interest in talking to them. He's removed everything Houston Texans from his page. You put him into a place where he said, Skip, and he's 25. How did it get so bad for a 25-year-old and the ownership and the team to get to this? Because we've never seen this before in the history of football. We've never seen this.
Yep.
A guy this talented to play that position says, I'm done, I'm out.
Nope, unheard of. It would also be unheard of if they actually moved him. It just doesn't happen.
No, it doesn't happen.
Okay? So help me out here. Did the Texans attempt to seek the approval of Deshaun on David Culley? Because I told you the other day when the story broke, it was reported that David Culley helped coach him at the Pro Bowl last year and that he and Deshaun clicked.
Man, it's the Pro Bowl. You just try to get out there and just try to do your thing. You ain't been paying no attention to who can coach you.
But at least Deshaun would have some feel for his personality and how he interacts.
Man, Skip, at the Pro Bowl, everybody's on their best behavior. Everybody's just like trying to get point A to point B. Nobody wants to get hurt. Maybe try to win this $35,000, or it might be $50,000 for the winners now, and get on up out of here. The way it was told to me is that Deshaun was assured that he would be kept in the loop, general manager and head coach.
And he was not with the GM.
He was not.
Okay, and then he's completely out after that.
Because he told me what you were going to do. And then he got the report that it was 2 minorities in the final running. The other guy was not
GM.
For GM. 2 minorities. Somehow they forego what the company they paid millions to come up with this list.
The search firm.
Firm. They forego that to go get someone else from the New England Patriots organization. At that point in time, it's like, okay, I can't trust you. You said one thing, you did something entirely different.
Okay, so I defer to you on this one. But do you think, just knowing what you know from a distance, in Deshaun's heart of hearts, will he feel any guilt is too strong, but to leave David Culley behind, just leave him in a lurch?
No.
Would he feel any sort of emotion for David Culley? Like,
yeah, I hate to leave a brother stranded, but at this point in time, Skip, I'm stranded.
Okay, I got it.
I don't trust you.
Yep.
And I appreciate what you've done. You welcome me, Houston, city of Houston, welcome me with open arm. Appreciate with the McNairs. But I think I've built up enough cachet. When you tell me something, you adhere to what you said you were going to do.
Yep.
If you had basically said, bruh, you player, we front office, we gonna run the show. But once you tell me we're gonna do things, if you say we gonna partner this, it's like any relationship. If you say we partners in this, we gonna make decisions together, and then all of a sudden you go buy a car without consulting the other party, it's gonna be a problem, Skip.
Yep. If they are forced to move Deshaun, I think David Culley is going to be devastated, and I think he's going to second guess taking this job. He had he's always been the assistant head coach to Andy Reid for years and years, and to obviously John Harbaugh in Baltimore. And he might say, why did I inflict this upon myself? Because it's going to be disastrous.
Maybe they told him because maybe he wasn't going to be willing to accept the job if he knew Deshaun wasn't going to be there. So they tell him, oh, Deshaun's not going anywhere. We're not trading Deshaun.
Okay.
He signed his own, and now guess what?
So is it possible David Culley got taken for the same ride that Deshaun felt he got taken for?
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. Because, I mean, you're not going to... Because, Skip, it's an unwinnable task going into a situation when you don't have great quarterback play. It's only a matter of time.
Yeah.
It's not if, it's just when.
You can't overcome it.
You're on borrowed time.
You can't. You're so up against it, it's impossible to overcome it. You can't fake out of it unless you're the 2000 Ravens.
Right.
And you got Big Play Shea on one side, and he can give you one a game, and you got that defense, but they don't.
Right, and it's a different game now, Skip.
Yeah, it is.
And you see now Steve Wilkes went from being the head coach at the Arizona Cardinals, now he's the DC at Missouri. You see how fast that happens, Skip? Just like that. You don't have a quarterback?
Okay. Do you have any sympathy, just you personally, for David Culley?
I would like to see him in a situation. I would like to see him in far too many times African-American get jobs where they don't have that, and there's no way they can succeed. You look at Marvin Lewis. He got a job, but he got Cincinnati. He got the worst job in football. Or they send him there. They send Denny Green to Arizona. Or they get, you get jobs like that. You get Cleveland. You ain't get no. Now, to the Rooney's credit, They gave Mike Tomlin. But the Cowboys and the Giants and all these Green Bays, you ain't getting those jobs.
Yep.
That have quarterbacks in position, you're not getting that. So you basically take what you can get.
I realized Marvin did not win a playoff game. What was the 0 for 7?
0 for 7.
But he did pretty well in this. In fact, he did very well under those circumstances.
Think about, Skip, you think about what Marvin did. Cincinnati had gone longer without making the playoff than what Tampa did before they got Brady.
Okay.
And he did that. And he went, granted, he didn't win a playoff game, but the teams that were in the division was winning the playoff games and winning the Super Bowl, the Steelers and the Ravens.
Yeah, well, he got them to the playoffs 7 times. It's hard to do.
It's hard to do. But, yeah, I just don't, it's going to get...
Concerned, should the Chiefs be for Mahomes here?
It's very concerning considering what they saw the last game in the championship game against Aaron Rodgers. They started the first pass play that Rodgers attempted, Skip. What did they do? They sacked him. Shaq Barrett sacked him. And he pressured him 22. They were pressured 22 times. They sacked him 5 times.
Yep.
I can understand, you know, when you played the majority of your season, the guard, who was actually a medical doctor, was in Canada because of COVID. He